rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the November 19th Environmental Conservation Board meeting. We have an agenda we're going to follow. For the record, all board members are in attendance, with the exception of Anthony, and we'll proceed with the agenda as written. Item number 1, Guerra, Edward, and Delamew Arthur, 859 South Lake Boulevard. Come up to the podium, please. Please state your name and who you're representing.
Thomas Casey, I'm representing Mr. Gersh and Mr. Dialoom.
Hey, guys.
Mr. Dialoom, Mr. Gersh.
You only gave me 3 copies.
So we share.
We'll share. Oh, here's one. Oh, I even got a full-size sketch. Okay, what do you want to do?
Okay, we're looking to seek permission to replace an existing aging deck on the lake, in kind.
In kind.
In kind. Nothing's going to change as far as size. The project will consist of removing what's there and putting back all new.
Just not speak into that because So replacing a deck in kind. You also show a new retaining wall being built. And you have showing 11 yards of clean fill being, 11 yards of clean fill being installed.
No, that's there from the original survey.
Okay, so the
original
retaining,
parking lot, yeah,
okay,
that's-
so based
existing.
on this drawing, guys, the only
Yeah.
thing you're doing is the area in red?
Right.
Okay. The dock that goes out to Lake Mayapack, is that is that existing?
That's existing, and we're resurfacing that.
Okay, we're not doing any structural work.
Nothing changes on that either, just the surface.
Okay, all right, and this is all gonna be done with hand tools?
Hand tools, no power, no heavy equipment.
Can you indicate what the materials are that you're going to be replacing with?
Right, we're removing all pressure-treated materials. The decking is pressure-treated also. We're going to build, the framing is all going to be pressure-treated. We're going to use existing footings that are there, so there won't be any digging at all. The surface of the deck will be a man-made composite, Trex, TimberTech, something like that. The fencing that's going to be replaced, there's wooden stockade fencing there now. It's going to be vinyl fencing that's going up, all same size.
You're fastening on top, or you have the discs that go in there, or is it from below?
I'm sorry?
Fastening the boards,
The
members,
the decking?
the Trex, yeah.
Yeah, that's
How
all
do you
gonna be
fasten
hidden
that?
fasteners.
They're hidden fasteners.
Hidden fasteners.
Oh, you're going from underneath.
The retaining wall is a timber retaining wall it's way past its life expectancy. It's dilapidated,
Well, the fasteners, you're able to access the screws from above, from top, or do you have to go below?
no, we're screwing from above.
Okay.
So, wait a minute, I don't understand. We're going for the deck, and we're going for the dock.
Right.
And you're installing a new retaining wall?
The retaining wall that's there is a timber retaining wall.
Right.
And it's deteriorated tremendously.
Okay, so what's the plan for that?
We're going to remove the timber retaining wall and put a unilock stone brick wall in place of it.
How far down do you need to dig that first course?
The first course is approximately 3 feet down.
Okay.
And what's the width, 18 inches?
The width right now is a little bit over 6 inches, and we're going to go to a foot.
1 foot above grade? Above finished grade?
No, you said the width?
Well, the width is 1 foot.
Right.
You're going 3 foot down for a footing.
We're going 3 feet down to the base of the timber that's there. The top of the stone wall is gonna be level with the
Yeah,
parking
that's
area,
the bone.
which is existing.
Okay, so you're only really, just to, and what's the width of the area? That's 25.
It's 25 feet.
So 25 by 1, so you're disturbing roughly 75 square feet.
Right.
The deck is cantilevered over the lake, correct?
It is cantilevered over the lake.
I looked at the plans, and in order to qualify for a letter of permission, it has to be less than 540 square feet of work area. And it is almost exactly 540 square feet of work area. However, okay, you are working over the lake. If you were only on adjacent area, this is my interpretation, if you were only adjacent area, you would qualify for a letter of permission. But since you're working over the lake, and you're using a boom, but that has nothing to do with that, then you need a permit.
Right.
You need a permit. Same procedure, you won't have, except it'll take, it has to,
Take 30
we
days.
have to advertise it.
There's no-
Because you're working over the lake.
There's no mitigation you can give me on that driveway, right? Like a rain garden or something, or is your property the entire width of this?
It's the whole entire width of the,
It's the entire width.
Sorry,
what's,
it's
what
nothing.
you see there is
It's
25
500,
feet.
it would be fine if it were all on land, but he's working over the lake. And that's the tipping point, from a letter of permission to a permit.
Okay, I'm sure, he's already filled out an application for
Right.
permit, so,
Is it paved, or is it
The parking area is paved.
with what?
It's macadam, it's asphalt.
asphalt.
Asphalt, okay.
And the retaining wall that you're installing is not, in the areas, you're just pulling all that out by hand?
Right.
Okay. Does anybody have anything, I mean, because this is cut and dry.
Yeah, outside of the fact that it requires a permit.
Well, the question is, what's the water level at right now in that cantilevered section, really where the wall is? I mean, is the water up on the wall, or is it?
No, that wall is set back 29 feet
Okay.
from the
Yeah, from
shore-
here to
from the
here.
shoreline.
Is there a fence, a silt fence detail in front of that, then? that he
No,
could-
what he's, the way it looks, he's only giving us a boom. He's
Okay.
gonna put a boom in the lake.
But I mean,
which
you could
basically would-
possibly do a silt fence there.
Not really.
It's-
I'll tell you what,
Oh,
this is what,
actually, so just so you didn't, that you know, underneath that deck, it's all rock.
Okay.
It's all rock from how they got all that rock underneath there. There is no soil whatsoever. So a silt fence would be a real bear to get in there. And the silt fence would only be very temporary, because we're taking down what's there and then putting right
well,
back up.
that's what I'm thinking of doing, is while you're doing the retaining wall, okay, because you're obviously, the way I envision this is you're gonna take the deck apart,
Do the retaining
do the
wall.
retaining wall, put whatever timbers you have left there. While you're digging for that retaining wall, you're going 3 foot down. So I'd like to have at least a silt fence between the retaining wall and the lake.
Okay.
While you're doing that work. Then, once the retaining wall is completed, you can remove the silt fence and then install the boom. All right?
Okay.
So, other than that, does anybody else have any questions?
How far out is the dock going to go from shore?
The dock right now shows,
36 feet.
where's my plan?
Is that what is pre-existing now?
All existing, yeah.
It's all
It's 36
pre-existing.
feet?
Yeah. It
Well, no,
says,
because I think the limit's 25
it's actually 25 from the
from the edge of the shoreline.
Shoreline.
from the seawall. And this-
You're showing a number of dimensions here. One is 2.5, one is 27, and one is 9. Some of that is a lot more than 25.
Yeah.
Right. I'm showing what's exactly there,
Okay,
okay? Because we didn't have any kind of site plan for this.
Okay.
I went down, measured everything, and I'm showing exactly what I measured.
okay, and you're replacing exactly what's there.
We're replacing exactly what's there. The 9'4" on the end there is a hinged dock on the end of the 27-foot dock.
Someone mentioned 25 feet, that's why I just mentioned that. I don't have a problem with it.
All right. All right, with that then, I'll make a motion to accept the application to grant the permit to install, to redo the deck at 859 South Lake Boulevard, with the following condition, that by tomorrow, you get us, just to modify two of these drawings to show a silt fence underneath the dock during your sequence of construction. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, you're on the clock,
Good.
all right?
Thank you, gentlemen.
What, do you know what he means by on the clock?
Never mind. This is,
I do.
That he means tomorrow.
No, no.
No,
You're on the clock for the permit, because we have to advertise it now, and we have to wait for the public response. Okay, and that, which means you have to come back in 2 meetings in order to
Yeah,
get the
2
permit.
meetings.
If everything's clean. But you have to submit the things tomorrow.
Can I have the reading material back, please?
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck on that.
Just for the record, I'd like to mention that we have the Mayapack High School AP Earth Science class here. Welcome. Okay, I'm just gonna do one item out of order, folks. It's a quick item, and then we'll open the public hearing, okay? Next item is the escrow return for Semlitz and Glacier for 210 Westlake Boulevard. I have a memo to the file from Dave Klotzel. The project has been completed, and a full refund of the $500 escrow fee can be returned. Do I have a motion to return the bond?
So moved.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so that's approved. Okay, the next item on the agenda is a public hearing for Wagner Millwork LLC Corbelli for 150 Barrett Hill Drive. Do I have a motion to open the hearing?
So moved.
Motion,
Do I have a second?
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, you guys can come up here, pick a microphone. I'm sure you're gonna be making some new friends today. And this job has been noticed in the, this is a carryover of the public hearing from 2 meetings ago, November the 3rd. There was an issue with the notification of some of the homeowners. That was resolved. So now we had left the hearing open, and does anybody wish to speak?
Well, we have the, why'd you call, we have the,
Well, well, yeah, please state your name and what you're here for.
I'm
Sorry about-
Claude Steele, forester with Wagner Millwork.
I'm Jordan Heller, forester with Wagner Millwork.
I'm Albert Corbelli, the owner. My wife and I are joint owners on the property.
Okay, I guess what I'm gonna ask is, you sit tight, I mean, we'll let the public speak. If they have any questions that have to be answered by you folks, you know, just answer them honestly, as honest can be, all right?
Can I give an introduction to our company and kind of what we're about for this project?
Sure.
All right, I'm a forester with Wagner Millwork, and I've been doing this job for over 17 years. On this project, we're following all the environmental protocols that are set forth by New York State Department of Environmental Conservation. You have the Environmental Conservation Board here to protect the rights. They made sure that we did all the procedures correctly. We had the wetlands inspector come out, he looked at the property, and we had to flag in the wetland. Also, we had Doug Ramey, who's the forester, who's working on behalf of the town. He went out with me and looked at the site. He has a letter that was submitted. He said that there should be no issue with erosion or anything like that. It's a standard timber job. You know, we literally have hundreds of jobs like this going on right now, all over New York and Pennsylvania. We're the largest sawmill, hardwood sawmill in New York State. And I assure you that there's not going to be problems with erosion. The protocols that we use, they work very well. We do it every day. And that's what I have to say.
Okay, thank you. I guess sit tight and we'll go through the public comment portion of the program.
Do people sign up?
No, I didn't think that would be necessary. Who would like to go first? Both of you can come up, sure. The more the merrier.
Little girl.
What I'm gonna do is, you'll have to forgive me, folks, I'm gonna move this table out of the way, because we kind of have a problem before you go. This is where you can get to the microphones.
That video of me was very unflattering.
How do you think I feel every week?
I look like a chameleon.
Okay, please state your name, your address, and, please state your name and your address, please, and your relationship to this item.
Christopher Granger, 89 Mexico Lane. I'm the owner of the property with my wife Danette, and we are directly connected to this property where the harvesting is going to happen. We're directly down the mountain from where this harvesting is going to happen. And this is Andrew Willingham, who's an engineer.
Okay, welcome. I got your letter today. I went through it. I got it late, so I read it on my iPhone as best I could.
Yeah.
I mean, you have some, if you just want to walk us through what you found?
I'll just kind of walk it through quickly. I don't know if the other board members had a chance to take a look or not.
Yes.
So Mr. Granger asked us to take a look at the project just with regard to engineering issues, environmental issues, conformance with zoning. And we looked through the project materials. And just as a background on the property, we went out to the site, and you guys, at least three of you
Yeah,
have been there.
just for the record, myself, Vince, and Mark went out to the site last Saturday? Last Saturday, and we walked the project as marked. And from what our observations were, trees with blue marks on it were designated to be cut, and the borders, the property lines of the property were marked with orange tape. And, you know, we observed, you know, the site.
Okay. The way Mr. Granger's property is situated is essentially at the bottom of a steep hill, which is the Corbelli property, and it's really, the Granger property is in kind of a compromised condition as far as drainage goes, with the hill coming straight down, the structures right up against the hill. So there's been quite a bit of improvements that have gone into that property to try to mitigate some of the drainage as it is now, including what I would call a perimeter drain that runs along the top edge between the Corbelli and the Granger lot. It's intended to take the drainage around the lot.
That was the area where.
The upper meadow.
The upper meadow.
Let me just say one thing. Right now, there's a lake there. So with nothing happening on that property yet, it's not even enough to drain. Right now, as we speak, there's a lake forming in that upper meadow because of what's coming down without anything happening on that next property.
What's the condition of that drain? Is that a clean drain?
It's not a factor of the condition of the drain. These are some pictures I took, if you just scroll this way. It's just based on the slope of the mountain.
And my report has a couple pictures in it, too.
And I haven't been into the drain to look to inspect.
I have some copies in my report here.
If you have another one,
Okay.
In the report, he has photos of that upper area that we're talking about in the report.
just for the record, we have a report dated November 19th from Willingham Engineering. That's a lot of extra copies. Does everybody have one?
Yes.
Pass one over.
So just today with a nominal rainfall, nothing really crazy. Rain started in our property around 11:15, 11:30 this morning, with not a lot of downfall. We already have that happening. Now imagine a skid road and no trees and no leaves.
Okay.
And the specific type of drain it is, it's an open gravel drain, so which is, suitable for runoff that, comes off woods or sort of a cleaner runoff. You know, any kind of sediment that goes into that really can be an issue. So we looked at the map they provided. As you know, they're required to provide a sketch map
Yes,
to
we have
scale.
I have an issue with that map.
And we found that it's actually 20-foot contours, not 10-foot on that map. And I watched the video of that meeting and saw you guys calculating the slope on there. And there's quite a bit of slope on that property, and it definitely was not
Without
the
a
10 to
doubt.
15% that you guys were estimating.
Well, based on the information we were provided.
Right, you know, you go by the scale, and I actually believe that those maps were generated by the Putnam County Parcel Viewer, which I think possibly are generating incorrect scales too, on top of that, which is kind of scary. So I provided a map, a USGS map that is to scale, that shows that they are 20-foot contours. Fair or not to Wagner, my experience with logging operations hasn't been great, which doesn't mean that that's the way they're going to treat this property, but it is pretty common to leave some huge ruts. So just had a site yesterday that had rut right down the center that rerouted drainage all the way through the middle of the property, and leaving all the tops of trees and debris around, really kind of making a mess. So there really is a potential for some impact here to this property.
Just, this is the map that we were given.
Right. And she goes
Oops.
36.
All right, continue.
Now, the actual slopes of this property are 10 to 15% in this area here, between 30 and 40, usually between 30 and 35 in this steeper portion here, and
Would you say 15% here?
10 to 15 in that. This area is 30 to 35, really, with up to 40 in a couple little spots.
What about over here?
Over there's typically around 15, nope, excuse me, 15 to 30. This area in here is 15, 30 down near the.
Okay.
So, in my opinion, these are some steep slopes to deal with erosion. With a skid road that they want to build right straight down this area is going to be at 25% grade. So it's pretty difficult to control erosion at that pitch. The erosion controls they're proposing, I thought needed a lot more. They only really showed a couple of silt fence, one along the wetland and then one along the staging area, which arguably is the least important area, likely.
Let me ask you a question. In a perfect world, because we're impartial, in a perfect world, if a logging operation was done in this area, could it be done effective to not cause the erosion issues that you're discussing?
Honestly, given the characteristics of this property, I think you're looking at snow cover and frozen ground is really the only time I would consider trying to log that. I mean, I think any other time is out. Even the summer during dry months, you rip it up and it's dry, and then all of a sudden 3 inches of rain comes down. And so I can't answer that completely. I'm not a logging expert, so to speak, but I do have a lot of experience with erosion control, and I've seen these sites really get ripped up by loggers, and with that slope, it's going to be almost impossible.
Okay. Anything else?
There's some sections of code in 142-8 that I'm not sure they're being followed on this project. Section D3 says skid roads shall be located off steep slopes. So I'm not sure placing on between 30 and 40% slopes will meet that. Running water shall be diverted off roads and primary skid trails when any slopes are over 10%. So, I think it just needs a lot more detail as far as how these sections of code are going to be met.
I agree.
Logs shall be winched off on any slopes over 30%, so really, per the code, this entire central area needs to be winching only. That's what the code says.
I happen to have the code with me today.
And it also allows, code allows the board to require, as I'm sure you know, them to clean up the tops of the trees after it's done. And it's such a beautiful, mature forest that I just can't imagine it littered with tree debris.
Can I ask you what constitutes cleaning up treetops?
Removing them or chipping them.
Okay, yeah, according to a lot of sustainability practices, chipping them would probably be the best avenue in making sure that the ground cover and leaf cover is maintained in that area. Just from my personal preference, I would prefer not to have that kind of material removed. But you are correct that it probably should be dealt with in terms of not leaving just treetops and random large branches around.
No problem.
So I have a couple other questions for you. I'm just going through your note here. I did get a chance to read it today and review actually quite in depth. First thing that I want to actually ask about is, I know that while this doesn't impact the drainage or the runoff coming into your property, I'm curious how you currently mitigate your the water that's coming in there. I mean, you're saying right now, without any logging, that you have water issues, let's say, and the primary way that you get it out of your property is a perimeter drain. Can you describe that perimeter drain a little bit? I mean, what's the depth of it? Has it ever been cleaned out? Was it installed properly? I mean, I don't know how.
The previous owners installed it. So I have no history with it. I've done no maintenance on it.
What we've noticed out there was that it's basically a riprap drain that goes along the curtain around one of the roads near the down this road down the hill, and it feeds down into the wetlands, right?
Right, yeah. Well, it goes around, it doesn't use the road as a conduit. It goes around the road.
Right, on the high side of the road.
That's right, exactly. But nonetheless, even right now, there's water going down that road.
Okay.
Phenomenal rainfall. I would go so far as to say my neighbors are also probably experiencing water situations tonight without speaking for anybody and not being a hydrologist.
Anything else?
Nick, if you look at the photograph 1 that was submitted, this is the upper field that he's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
From right to left is the rear of the field, and along that area there, at least a part of that field, is the drain that he's talking about. It goes to the left, am I correct? It goes to the left.
This photo here.
Goes to the left, and then there's another road that's off the photograph here, which goes up the hill further. And then it goes beyond that road, down around, making a U-turn around this side of the photograph. That's where the drain is. Observe when we were at the field side,
Yeah.
Allow me to ask a question. At any time during your investigation of the property and the project as planned, did you look into what, in your opinion, might be possible without adversely affecting your property? Did you look at the trees that were tagged and the number of them? Did you look at their location? Is there any compromise that can be achieved, in your opinion, without an adverse effect?
Well, I didn't go on their property because I didn't want to trespass. But, you know, I do feel like it's a little bit, the onus is a little bit on the proposal and the developer to prove that they can mitigate, you know, their own project. You know, I'm willing to give my opinion on whatever they propose, but.
That's fair enough. I appreciate your
Okay.
answer.
Just as the homeowner, One of my concerns is, our kids obviously aren't old enough to go to school yet, but my wife takes Barrett Hill in the mornings. They want to do this in November and December, when it's snowy and sleety and rainy, and there are 20,000-pound trucks with logs driving by buses, and my wife in our pickup truck. And I'm just terribly concerned. I did a little thing on the internet. I know it's the internet, but in 2013, Wagner Millwork had an accident in Pennsylvania, I believe in June of 2013, where 2 people were injured in a vehicle, and I'm just concerned that something like that might happen here, to us, to anybody in a bus, to anybody driving to work at 7:30 in the morning.
Okay.
I just want to add that. Barrett Hill's a busy road, I'm sure you know that, and there's buses up and down there.
I have a couple other questions. Did you look at the soil hydrology at all there?
No, I haven't looked at this one.
You made a couple of comments in here about the understory growth and the lack of understory growth. I unfortunately didn't get a chance to go to the site. Did
This
you guys
picture
observe
cut-
that
yeah,
as well?
I think the soil over there is very shallow. I think the whole, for lack of a better word, the mountain, for
Lot
lack
of
a better
ledge
word,
there.
is a lot of ledge. So whatever,
Seems to be a considerable amount of mature trees here, though, no?
there are
Absolutely.
absolutely a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah.
mature trees. That's
They
what
can
they're
grow, yeah.
taking. When just for the record, when we were, talking last public hearing about they were only taking 235 trees, of course, you're taking the cream of the crop, but those are the trees that are the ones located behind his house, located adjacent to the wetlands. I mean, these are trees that are, that are naturally in that area that have matured well. The rest are small, 6-inch, 12-inch style saplings. Am I correct? There's a mixture of everything from 6-inch to a foot to, full-size, nice trees. I mean, the area had a lot of, just for the record, the area had a lot of leaves and brush on the ground, but that's because all the leaves fell off the trees. I didn't see a lot of growth in that area. It was mostly just leaves and whatever trees that were standing. Speaking to the owner, the evergreens that you see in picture number 1 were previously planted by the prior owner.
That's right.
And, they're thriving, but that's because in that area where they are right now, the way the property goes is you come off Mexico Lane, there's his home. Then you walk up a little bit to a barn, and you follow a road up to a meadow, okay, which is about, it's maybe the size of a two-story house. So you're going up maybe 30, 40 feet, okay? That meadow then, there's a stone wall just on the other side of that meadow, and then it's straight uphill.
And keeping those trees alive every year is a battle because of whatever this vine is that's attacking this area, every year. So, we're constantly fighting every year to keep those vines off those pine trees.
So my purpose for bringing up the soil hydrology as well as the apparent growth of this forest is the understory. Cutting down or harvesting timber from this area would seem to promote a stronger undergrowth if there is a considerable amount of old growth here, which in looking at this, there's very little undergrowth and a lot of very large trees here. Just from these pictures. That's a very positive thing for any environment, having a strong understory.
Right, but the situation with that is, out there I cleared some leaves along the area where up the hill, and it's a very rooty style, organic type material, which is not, organic is the wrong word. It's a rooty material where nothing's gonna really thrive, as far as an undergrowth, except for like a vine or something.
Briar.
Shallow
You guys done
soil.
There's quite a bit of ledge.
No, it's only because there's such a thick canopy in there, it's the reason there isn't a lot of growth. If you open up some sunlight, there's seeds already in the soil, and those are gonna grow.
Well, the section that you guys are describing, the closest to your property, most of it along your stone wall, your property boundary that's mostly hard maple in there. and we don't have a lot of trees marking that. It may look like a lot to you, but to what we do
Look
every
like a
day,
lot to them.
it's not a lot in that section. As you move along your stone wall, it turns into a tulip stand, and tulip is notorious for not having a dense understory. And that's because it has such a dense canopy, and it is highly stocked in there. And I mean, it may look like a lot of trees, but there are gonna be many tulip trees left in there. And as far as the erosion, we work in the New York City watershed in the Catskills all the time. There's a property in Johnson Hollow, which is in the center of the Catskills, and the New York City watershed holds a seminar there every year to show how we mitigate soil erosion and how we alleviate water washing out these skid trails. This is it's 40% plus slopes down there.
And it goes for a mile.
And it
up
goes
the
for a
hill.
mile up the hill. It's a mountain. It's a true mountain. And we've cut in there. I think we'll be going in there again for the third time in the past 20 years, and every road is solid. And that's a reason why the New York City watershed holds it for loggers. And as far as your bad logging experience, I mean, yes, it is a little mushy out there right now. And any good contractor, which we really only work with, will go in and smooth out those skid trails. Have you ever seen a logging job put to bed, so to speak, after it's been cut, after the contractor's left and all the logs are gone?
No, because they usually leave it.
Well, I can tell you that last year we bought 25 million feet of timber all over New York, Pennsylvania, and a little bit into Vermont now. And we don't just, and most of that timber is on state land, and we don't get these sales because we do a crappy job. We get these sales because we do well at what we do every day. We employ good contractors who know how to put the woods back to it. We're out there once a week, checking on the job, always in contact with the contractor, seeing if the ground's too wet. Right now, we have some guys sitting, and we don't have to tell them to do that because they're good contractors. They're all New York State logger certified, which means they have to do ecology classes, they have to do classes with the watershed. They need to take classes on how to cut trees well, even though that's what they do every day. No, this isn't something that's uncommon. There are thousands of timber harvests going on around the state, Pennsylvania, all over the Northeast.
Do you have a topo map of this place that you're talking about? Can we see that? Can they do a comparative analysis?
Not
There are variables. Every acre on our property is a variable to the other.
Yeah.
So show me that that property you're talking about is like our property. Is there that,
Well, it's
that
worse.
shelf that I don't know about? Yeah, but that's great. Let's see it. Show me the paper.
I'm not, I'd like to have if you have anything else you'd like to add, I mean,
The other thing
I'd like to have some of the other people on the,
The only thing I would add to all that is put all that in the documents, instead of just, we
Right.
do it all right. It should, there's only about a paragraph of how they're gonna do it in this map. It should be a lot more information.
I agree.
To be honest, it wasn't asked of us, and almost in every other town, we don't have to present anything. All we have to do is sign a contract with our landowner, write them a check, and that's it. I mean, if it was, I don't have a problem
And we
writing a
are-
document,
we
but
already
this is.
do the right thing.
This is,
Sir, let me ask a question, if I might.
yeah,
Let's say that your permit is approved as written, everything that you want to do is done.
sure.
The trees are cleared, your skid roads are put in.
Yeah.
Your job is done.
Yep.
You guys go to harvest your timber and do what you do.
Right.
What happens then? Does your company come back to check on the status of the property after you've completed the job? How long would you maintain some sort of charge of the property? Would you come back in 1 year, 2 years to find out if the soil erosion has gone according to your plan?
What we do is at the very end, the roads are all smoothed off, and all the water diversions are put in the slopes where needed, and there's a table for that to tell us for a certain steepness, how many water bars to put in.
It's through the best management practice guide, put out by New York State for free. Everybody,
And we put, those diversions are big enough so that they will handle years of of water hitting them.
But again, you haven't answered my question. Do you ever come back to check that they are,
We generally don't,
No.
because we do it right the first time. The diversions are put in, and as long as the landowner tells us that everything looks fine, then
You also have Doug Ramey, who will go in there after the harvest is completed to check everything off. I mean, he's your
He's
forester.
our forester.
He's the one to make sure that we are doing our job, which there's no question about that. I mean,
that may very well be the case. I'm not here to cast aspersions on anything or anybody. I'm just wondering what recourse the people, if somebody is affected. If it turns out that even due to your best interests, best practices, a year from now, 6 months from now, a year from now, the next major storm, the property owners are affected. I'm wondering what happens, what the recourse is.
we haven't had that happen.
What are you planning to do with this property? Is it just to sell the trees and move on, or are you planning to develop? Because I kind of, we got to look at the big picture.
I got that, and there's a couple things I'd like to address, okay?
You have to please step over here to the microphone.
The first issue they brought up was the soil, quality of soil. We did deep hole testing in there probably 10, 12 years ago. We do have topos of the area. The soil ranged, wherever there was obviously ledge, there's obviously ledge. We were able to get down 4+ feet in the areas where the trees are growing best. The top 1.5 feet was a sandy loam. To address the slashings that are left on the property, the largest logging state in the eastern coast is Maine. They never address the slashings. The best thing for it is to let them lay. Seedlings get caught in them, it reforests itself. The reason you have some areas there where you say there's not much undergrowth because too much shade. His concern is about the ground absorbing water. The ground, your best ally is the sun. If you don't remove the canopy, the sun can't pull any water out of the ground. It just doesn't happen. He talks about his curtain drain around the property. Is there a pipe in that drain?
We don't know if it is.
Any curtain drain is not, listen, I have 50 years in this field, okay? I was one of the largest contractors in the area. I serviced every major corporate, every major building you went to, we did water projects at. Okay, and that's a proven fact. Some of them were as much as 15 and 20 miles long.
Okay,
All right, so I have some expertise in it. You can't put a curtain drain in without a relief pipe. It's just common sense. You get a certain amount of resistance, the rock is going to resist some of the water going in there if you get a downpour. You need relief pipes. I don't know what's in there. You need to maintain it. Someone here mentioned, are you maintaining it? It'll get silted up. Is it lined with fabric? And I want to tell you one more thing. When that meadow was created, I was living there, okay? And these people weren't there, so they don't have the knowledge of it. That was a cut and fill. That's not a natural meadow. That was a cut and fill, all right? So when you cut and fill, you got to do the proper drainage around it. And then the real simple fact of which is just, I mean, the issue is there. It's not an issue we created. The issue is there. We're not asking for a lot. At 8 trees per acre, we're not asking for a lot. We're really not.
what's the plan for the property?
The property has been on the market, okay? I went to the town for grievance. I'm paying $12,000, $13,000 a year in taxes on it. See, when I bought the property, I was as young as they were. And I felt the exact same thing they did, okay? I had it offered to me when it was a 36-acre parcel, and I said, no one will ever build there. And then I wake up one morning and they're surveying the parcel. And I wake my wife up and I said, somebody's gonna build across the street. I don't want anybody building across the street. So I ran over and I said, stop. And they laughed at me, the survey, and he said, I can't stop, I'm getting paid to survey it. So, okay, they surveyed the property. I went, tracked the owner down, Mr. Warnicki. He had already sold it to the gentleman that was on the board here for a couple of years, a retired policeman from New York City. I can't remember his name now. But anyway, he had 2 houses sold, one for himself and one sold. So I bought the rest of the property to put a freeze. Actually, someone else bought it while I was negotiating with him. That gentleman happened to get a paid vacation from the state of New York, and I ended up buying it from him. And I said, thank God nobody's building on it. But the taxes were a small amount.
I understand.
My company was operating, wasn't retired. Who cared? You know? But now I go for
But
relief.
you gotta answer
I'm gonna answer
the
your question. The question is the property's on the market. Everyone here is more than, buy it. Buy it. My wife and I will give you such terms. Get 10 of your neighbors, get 20 of your neighbors together.
kids just walk out?
Listen, I raised them and educated them. I know what it is.
Okay,
But the bottom line is the property's on the market. When I bought the property, there was a 10-lot subdivision in process. 10-lot, okay? I said, this is crazy. So I had nothing better to do. I don't know if you gentlemen remember Gary Tresh when he owned Putnam Engineering. I said, Gary, look at this thing. I don't want 10 lots here. So he came back with 6. I came to a board meeting. Peggy Moore was walking in. I helped her carry her bags in. She said to me, what a nice young, I don't know if you remember Peggy, what a nice young lady. No, the way she, anyway, she said to me, can you make it a little less busy? No problem, Peggy. I said, I'll make it 4. Then I came home and I said, gee, you know what? We were up there and we could see the lights down in New York City. I'd love to have a house up there. I said, no, we're going to make it 2. If we're going to be up there, I don't want to be crowded, we'll have 2. Right? Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, my business was very busy. And I was very fortunate and thankful for it. And I never got time to build a house. And then when I wanted to build it for my son, who was getting married, she said, don't let your father build that house. He'll get a roof over your head so you move in, but he'll never get it finished. So now, when I can do it, you know what the answer is? I'm too old. I'm not cleaning the monstrosity you're going to put up there, so the hell with it. So it's down to proposed 2 lots.
2 lots.
The houses are nowhere near their property.
So, right.
And
well,
other than that, I don't know what to
It's
tell you.
proposed 2 lots from you, but not from the new owner if you deem to sell the
There's no way a new owner, we had it surveyed, we put everything through that way, and with the new laws, they have these lines. You gotta have so many 100 feet,
Right.
straight line, rear line. So the way we designed it, it's 2 lots. It's never gonna be any more than that. One's just a hair under 4 acres, and one's just about 19 acres. That's it. The lot that would be closest to them is 19 acres. And where the house is proposed is below the ledge, okay? They'll never see the house.
Okay.
But getting
don't-
back-
Can we get
I don't
back
mean
to
to cut you off.
specifics?
I'd like to,
Can we get back to the specifics?
Sure.
of the
Yeah,
permit
that's what
here?
I'm trying to-
Could you describe for our benefits exactly what's going to happen with the skid roads after? What do you plan? I think for our benefit and benefit of the audience too. Please
Okay.
describe that.
The roads are graded off with a bulldozer. And there'll be water bars put in, and where the slope is, where it's steeper, there's more water bars put in, so that way it diverts the water off the road. All the water bars are turned at a slight angle and aimed downhill, so that way they drain the correct way. And that keeps water from gaining momentum.
What
Yeah.
about, you're going to have some bare ground there. What about the bare ground that's there? Well, you're going to be working with a bulldozer, you're going to put water bars in, but there's still going to be a lot of
we had
bare
asked
ground.
them
Yeah,
to
there's
throw
gonna be
down
bare ground.
a wetland mix, I believe, the last
Well,
meeting.
No, a great way, the wheels are tracking over. Is any riprap or gravel or any type
No,
of
no,
road
it'll
bed on
be-
that?
It'll be exposed soil, but it'll be level, and where it's not level, the water bars are put in place.
How wide is
And
the road?
What's that?
How wide is that skidding road?
It'll be approximately 9 feet wide. That's how wide the machines generally are.
You
Yeah.
don't find it beneficial to stabilize that in any way?
No, I mean, we've
seeds
got
back
all
in
these
a year
jobs.
after.
What's that?
It seeds itself about a year after. You get all kinds of little herbaceous species growing back in. It
The
almost-
bulldozer basically compacts some of the soil as it's operating.
Move on to the next. I'm going to ask you to sit down again. Sorry. Unless you have something else you'd like to move forward with right now. We have a lot of people here that
Absolutely.
also want to speak.
Thank you for having the second hearing.
No problem. Anybody else would like to speak? Come on up. Oh, do me a favor, before you leave today, just put your names and your addresses on here. This way we have a record, so I can leave it for Rose. Could you please state your name and where you live?
I'm Jane Williams. I live at 65 Mexico Lane.
Okay, good evening.
If you walk the property, my property's right next to Chris's. I think he has about 7 acres. I have about 8.5.
Okay,
You probably saw my little shed is up there,
yes.
my little tool shed.
When we look at Chris's, you're on the right or the
We're
left?
looking at.
If you're standing on Mexico Lane, Chris is here and I'm here.
You're to the right of him.
Yes. And I don't have a problem with the project except the amount of trees seems a lot.
Okay,
I am concerned, I've spent probably, my husband was an excavator, and he put drains and all kinds of stuff to try to mitigate the normal downhill erosion and stuff. Unfortunately, he died in '98, so I have spent probably $12,000 since then, creating swales and creating all different projects, which you might have noticed when you were walking around, just because the septic fields can get flooded from regular runoff, and the stream is right there. And I'm very conscientious about that stream. I love it. But what I would like to see is, if the project's going to go forward, that I don't see why there couldn't be silt fence and staked hay bales
we have,
and
we've
things like
asked them
that,
to put silt
so
fence
that
in.
my property would be impacted as little as possible.
We've asked them to put silt fence in on the project. And if this is
'Cause that does work.
up by Barrett Hill and down here by Mexico Lane,
Yeah.
by the wetlands, that's where
Because-
we have them putting it.
Because where the downhill comes, it would be very helpful.
Okay.
My husband used to do a lot of pond work, and he used silt fence with staked hay bales
Sure,
right next to it, and nothing gets
that's
through.
right, perfect.
Okay,
That's good.
thank you very much. Could you just please sign the attendance?
Sure.
I think we have to have a record, right?
Yeah.
Okay, anybody else would like to speak, sir? Come on up. Please state your name and your address.
Yeah, my name is Ash Khan. My wife Judy and I own the house on 59 Stonewall Farms Road, which is at the cul-de-sac on the bottom of the hill,
Okay,
right? Directly behind this property.
which would be this area right over here somewhere.
It's the property 5318-118, which is this one.
Which one right there?
So the property is lower from the Stonewall Farm Road, and it's a very steep hill here.
Yes.
And as it is, this section of little of my backyard is today has 3 to 6 inches of water already. And it's just behind my pool, it's all wet. And we are very concerned that this is, if you look at it, this is very, very steep hill. And if it was a mile long, it might have been a different story. But being such a steep hill, this water is going to come down directly into our properties. And we can't handle any more water. We're getting water from the Stonewall Farm Road down the driveway, and then we're getting the water from the other side. And being this whole area very, very wet,
Wet, it's a wetland.
it swells up every time rains. And 15 years ago, when we bought the house, we were told that this was all New York City watershed property, and there was nothing supposed to be built. And
This area, yeah.
correct, but I think this whole area was not supposed to be disturbed by any
Okay.
further work. And, I mean, we are very, very concerned with the flooding. My well is back here. I mean, I'm worried about my water being contaminated, along with my neighbors. And we really don't think this property should be disturbed. And, you know, once, we will be back here in a year or two when this property is sold, and now there's the excavation to build these houses. What's going to happen then?
Okay.
And we would appreciate, you know, your consideration to deny this permit, because these guys don't take any responsibility at all after they walk away.
I understand.
And the silt fence is only going to be a temporary thing. while they're working, and it's gonna be gone. I'm not the engineer, but you have seen the engineer's report, how steep this property is.
I walked it, we know.
And, you know, the water all the way from Barrett Hill is going to come down this way.
Okay. Sign the, would anybody else like to speak?
Why not? I'll get up.
Come on down.
My name is Cheryl Coyle.
Hold it. Thank you.
My name is Cheryl Coyle, and I live at 182 Barrett Hill Road. We moved in right after 9/11, and we wanted to put an addition on our house a few years later after our second child. And we are surrounded by wetland where I am, and even though I'm not affected by the mountain, I know exactly where it is. I walk my dog past there every day, and I also walk the gas line that is right next to this property. In order for us to put on our house, add 2 bedrooms and a bathroom, I had to bring in feet of bank run because we are surrounded by wetlands. And when looking at the map, I saw how many wetlands are surrounding this area. It's unfortunate, but there's something that you can't deny, that it's surrounded by wetlands. And me as a homeowner, it's interesting that this project can go through, and I was doing it to have my kids have bedrooms. So that's one thing that I'd like to bring up. The other thing I'd like to say is that it's, I'm not an engineer, but wouldn't it be interesting, last week when you walked the property, wouldn't it be interesting for you to walk it tomorrow and see the amount of wetness that is there? And then maybe, I don't know, maybe after a March defrost, would be interesting to walk the property. And take a, you know, just look at it, and it's not the integrity of your company, because it's not about that. I think it's about what we have to live with as homeowners around the area. To just see it throughout the year, see how much snow runs off after it's defrosted, see the rain that we've gotten, which is the rain that we really haven't had a big rain this year. We've been very fortunate. And it's just something that I'd like the town to consider. You know, as a homeowner, my property's 2/3 wetlands, and I'm taxed on it too. And it really isn't very, it's not happy, but it's the way it is. So I think the town should absolutely do a study of actually how much water is running off throughout the seasons of the year.
Okay, could you point to the map where you live? Do you know?
Where you live?
Sure.
This is Mexico Lane right here.
You said you're on,
I'm on Barrett Hill.
Here's Barrett Hill.
This is Mexico.
This is,
This is me.
yeah, your backyard's a wetland.
Oh, yeah, that's us.
You all wet.
Yep, I'm wet.
All right, thank you very much.
When was your house built?
When it was actually built?
Yeah.
I'd be lying if I told you. I can just tell you that we bought the house in,
Right after 9/11.
right after 9/11, it was that weekend.
Does anybody else would like to say anything?
Hi, I'm Krista Donahoe. I'm at 1 Mexico, so I'm at the top of the hill. There's a flat piece of property. Sure. Thank you.
Sorry.
You were trying for the baby sympathy.
So, here.
Okay.
So I'm like one of the few really flat pieces of property. I find it honestly incredible that Mr. Corbelli says he's down over 3 feet. I had test holes dug all over my property to get a septic system put in. I spoke about this when I was here a couple weeks ago. The deepest they got was 3 feet. Lots of my property, ledge right to the surface. I'm telling you now, I don't trust him. And I don't think you should trust his assessment. I went to Mike Carnazza. He settled with the town in August on another piece of property of his. with a lawsuit that's been going on for 3 years. There were stipulations that he had to remediate within 30 days. He has not. Mike Carnazza said that the town is suing him again. The neighbors up around that piece of property are also suing him, from what I understand. I don't trust him. I feel really badly that if something goes wrong in this project and there's massive flooding down into my neighbors' homes, that this company has left, they've walked away, they're done with the project, and there is no way Mr. Corbelli is going to help them out. He's already created many enemies in the neighborhood on a different piece of property that he owns by ignoring, what's good for the area and the neighborhood. And now we're going to have another issue, I think. And I was a little less than impressed that this fencing is here, but there was nothing above the property of the neighbor. I don't, if it's necessary here, why wouldn't it be necessary there? It flows down into here anyway.
What we did as a board, we directed them to install silt fence at this portion of the property, because it's within his boundary lines, because since the road is working through here, we were trying to protect the closest spot to the wetlands, because there was enough distance between here and here that this was up close towards the wetlands. We were trying to protect the wetlands.
Right, so what you're saying is something's going to flow down here that might
No,
disturb the
we're
wetlands.
trying to, if, in the event that
In the
something
event
does.
something might happen, right, so there's no protection here, and their home is on this property.
Okay.
So I just think if you, I just think it's interesting that that was not even thought of by the company or Mr. Corbelli to think about the property below that has a home on it, that has a family on it, that there could possibly be a problem and that things would need to be protected.
Okay. Take that into consideration. Could you just sign? Does anybody else want to speak? Come on up.
I would like to speak because the integrity was just challenged, and I take offense to that. I wasn't even going to go there. I got a list of notes about the last meeting. I wasn't able to attend, but I did watch a film of it, and my neighbor here made a few comments, and I wasn't even going to bring that up. But I think these things should be addressed, and she was allowed to open up the door about it. Number one, the yard she's referring to is listed in the state of New York as well as the town as an industrial lot. I did not create it. The town foreclosed on it. They came to me and said, this would be perfect for your business. We have a lot of money owed us here. We could use the money. So I bought the lot, okay? I could have bought it for back taxes, but I didn't. Judge Sweeney, I said, stop the sale. I was the only bidder. I could have bought the lot for $40,000. But I went out and I found out everybody that was owed anything. I paid the town $46,000 in back taxes, and I paid off everybody else $160,000. There's nothing that was done on that lot that wasn't done prior. She referred to a garbage company on a lot that I had. I had nothing to do with the garbage company. He was a tenant, number one. Number two, there were 4 garbage companies on there just in the 38 years that I lived in Barrett Hill Road, so it was nothing new, right? She referred to a feral cat, had nothing to do with me. It turned out there was a neighbor feeding the wildlife. She was fined for feeding the wildlife. The wildlife was fighting with her domestic cats. It was a big issue. To this day, she still feeds the wildlife, okay? There was reference made that I was hiding in the back of the lot. We were asked as a courtesy to move the operation as far to the back as possible so people wouldn't see it. No problem, we did that, okay? As far as my lawsuit with the town, a lawsuit with the neighbors had no lawsuit. It went to the Superior Court, no issue, okay? I surrendered a right to put the thing to bed that I would never rent to another garbage company, right? Did that willfully. There was no gun put to my head to do that. And that's what we did. And unbeknownst to them, the lot is cleaner today than it ever was because we've had a constant program of cleaning it up from the day we bought it. So a lot of things there's a lot of falsehoods here that these people, and against my lawyer's better judgment, he told me to come public with everything initially and just lay all the cards on the table because you did nothing wrong. But I chose to let it go because I didn't want to get in a pissing contest with anybody. I just felt, let this thing go through the court system and let it all come and go, get dissolved. As far as not doing the thing in 30 days, we put the paperwork in. And they required, when the town gave me my paperwork to fill out, they gave me one sheet. There's a 5-sheet folder. Inadvertently, they only handed me one sheet. I did what the one sheet said.
Okay.
Then I walk in a few weeks ago, and I brought in a few other items because my wife went on the website and found out there were other sheets to be filled, so I went in and I brought them in. And that was the extent of it, okay? And to the best of our knowledge, there is no lawsuit going on now.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
And that's basically it. And if anyone has any questions about that piece of property, please address me, and I'll be glad to clear it up for you. Okay, well, and by the way, she challenged the depth of the soil, and I couldn't get 4 feet in the ground. I have topos, and it shows all of that.
Okay. All right, no problem.
I have a point of inquiry.
Hold on one go ahead.
Is there board discussion during a public hearing or after the public hearing is closed?
You're talking about deliberations?
Well, we're not going to, just based on the information and everything that was presented to us tonight, okay? Based on the engineer's letter, based upon the emails I got from Central Hudson Gas, based upon some of the information we've discussed here today, once the public hearing is closed today, I'm not going to recommend this for a permit at this time, okay? We're gonna we have 45 days per the code to grant a permit if we grant it, or we can deny it within the 45 days. Based on this meeting today, there's a lot more information I feel is necessary to be added to the file. Namely, one is a correct topo of the site depicting the actual conditions, but I'll go through that list once the public hearing is closed.
That's what I'm talking about.
And then what I would like to do is, and this is open for the board's discussion if they'd like, is I would like to take the information based on what we've discussed tonight, based on the additional information I'm going to ask from the applicant tonight. I would like to have it distributed to us the way we typically do via email, review it, the next meeting discuss the application, put our thoughts out there, and then decide to then either deny the reject the application, deny the whatever transpires, that's the way I'm leaning towards this. I'm trying to be fair to the neighborhood and fair to the property owner, but in order as an engineer, I need to see all the pieces of the puzzle. So, and some of the pieces are missing.
Yeah, my point was just to indicate whether or not tonight we would be able to give the applicant what additional information that
We can
the
give
board
it to him tonight, and because, we need to see everything.
Okay.
Unless nobody else has any comments, come on up.
My name is Danette Granger, and I live at 89 Mexico Lane with my husband. And I just wanted to make one point of the report that you'll be looking at, I'm sure more. Just in addition to the comment that he made earlier about the traffic on Barrett Hill and where everything's happening. And there is a town code that is sort of being challenged here because the landing is not 200 feet back. And I think that really needs to be looked at, and it's a concern because I think Beartail also has a double line on that road.
Right.
So when you come out either direction, you're not seeing anything. And it's also a little bit of a grade, I believe, going there. So any sort of big trucks going down there is, I think, a big concern
Okay,
for you guys to look at.
thank you.
Thank you. Could you sign the paper?
Well, I'll just put, here you go. I'm gonna, if you don't mind, I'm gonna ask the students in the back there if they would like to ask any questions, just. Okay, yeah, all right. So with that, I'm going to, unless anybody, I'll get to you folks in a minute. If nobody else has any comments, would like to address the board, I'd like to close the public hearing at this time. Does anybody have any final comments regarding the public hearing? Come on up. Thank you.
I forgot to mention before that, would you be involving New York City Department of Environmental Protection on this, or?
Not the DEP,
No?
not the DEP. I believe we discussed, I have to check the file again, with the state, with the D.
The forest or
The town's forester went out there to survey the site at our request. There's a report in here from him as well, and, you know. And we sent the wetland, and we sent David Klotzel out there, and we sent Doug Ramey out there. I tried getting the forester here, but he was busy. So, I don't believe that there is any DEC required. Well, the 100-foot you have a 100-foot buffer, which is at the bottom of the wetlands by lot 5318 1-28. So 100 feet from there is the area at that, the 100 foot from that wetlands, the entire contour, 100 feet up, is considered the buffer, and no equipment would be allowed to go in there. And that area is probably one of the most trickiest areas that you have to pull trees out of there, but.
You have a report from your forester and from council?
Yes.
We do.
Do you have access to that report?
It's in the file, you could some see Rose tomorrow. Okay?
You know, I mean, again, you know, you can see all my property is basically in wetland, and it's very, very concerning, because I'm the only one in the whole road that you can see that has, you know, the house here in the back, and around, surrounded by this wet property.
Okay. Thank you.
One question?
Come on, you can even bring the baby.
Thank you very much. He's not moving. You guys had said there were, how many trees per acre you harvested? 8?
Per
So-
acre.
So 8 times
28.
So
There's 227.
227 total, right. Well, there's more than 8 in certain places in that property.
It's 10. It's 28 acres,
28 point.
23 acres, and it comes out to roughly 10 trees to the acre.
But some acres are not. Some acres are more than that.
Some have more than 10.
Absolutely.
Average.
It's an average.
It's an average, it's never gonna be
I just wanted to point out for the record that
No problem.
that's the reality.
Okay.
Thank you.
You want to say one final thing?
I just asked that the board consider leaving the public hearing open. We kind of agree that there's quite a bit of missing information. It would give the public a chance to review a complete application, whereas right now
Well, this is, I'll get to that when we get to that. I'm gonna, what I'm gonna do is if it's okay with the board. Keep it open. Keep it open, and then we're gonna ask the applicant for additional information. So,
I have another question on that then. Well, aside from making a motion to keep the public hearing open, there's still a comment period, if I'm not mistaken, after the
45
public
days.
hearing, correct? So even if we close it, there's still
We're not closing it.
we're not closing it.
I'm hypothetically speaking, should we closed the public hearing, there's still a 45-day, is it a 45-day comment period after this?
No, we have
It doesn't need to
45
go out
days in which
for additional.
to-
So
we
at
have
this point.
45 days in which to
Make a
vote
dec- render a
on,
decision.
I
render a
see.
decision,
Okay.
all right?
I'd like to say something. Given what you've heard tonight, is there a possibility of modifying it so the erosion issue can be mitigated even further? It's just something to consider, that's all. Thank you.
What did they say to you? I didn't get that answer. They said no?
What? Nobody said anything.
What was your question?
No, it was just a statement about the potential for accommodating the erosion potential further. In other words, modifying the plan, if that's something that you would consider.
Or even less trees.
I'm sorry? I'm not making a suggestion. I mean, it's up to you. You guys are the professionals, so.
The thing you have to understand is, this is not $1 million project.
I understand
There was
that.
a comment passed when someone walked by earlier and said, oh, these people are just doing it for the money. There's no money in this project, okay? We looked for some tax relief, the town wouldn't give us tax relief, all right? To this day, I still don't understand why a vacant parcel with that limited frontage that I heard referred to as a Rubik's Cube is taxed at 12 grand a year, 13 grand a year. It doesn't make sense. I brought paperwork in from realtor appraisers and was still shot down, okay? So there's not that kind of money in it, and the foresters usually don't address parcels under 25 acres. So there's nothing, if they're gonna come in, they have to come in and make it worthwhile. If they don't come in and make it worthwhile, it's just not worth their while to do it.
I get it.
Also,
That's where it's at.
needs to be said that, for the general public, that logging operations are legal, so.
Yes, they are legal, of course. In
Within-
fact,
Within certain
if you go,
confines,
if you
obviously.
go upstairs and pick up your, no, I'm sorry, go down the hallway, you pick up your syllabus for your hunting license, I don't know if, there's a beautiful article in there about the state promoting it. There's a beautiful article in it, the state's even going to clear cuts now. It's quite an article, it's a whole page in the book, and it's quite informative.
Okay.
And it's definitely to the plus. If you need anything in the way of maps on the property, we have them.
Oh, don't worry, get your pencil ready, I got a
If
list
you
for
need
you.
anything, okay, I'm ready.
Okay,
Can we continue what Ed was saying, possibly, would you be amenable to possibly making some modifications to the plan? And let me pick up from where the young lady over there mentioned the fact that she said, well, what about putting a silt fence along the Granger's property line? Would you, I'm just throwing that up there as a possibility. Or, instead of just removing the silt fences, at the conclusion of your harvesting, to maintain them for a period of time until there is some stabilization of the area. Would you be amenable to her suggestions?
How long a period of time?
I don't,
Why don't we leave them forever?
are you being facetious?
When the brush covers them and you don't see them anymore, you got the benefit.
Well, I don't think we want to do that.
No, you want to remove those
We
once
wanna-
they
we
go
wanna
in. Yeah, you want to remove it, yeah.
A limitless amount of time. I will take the responsibility of removing them if it has to be done. If the forester doesn't take that responsibility, I'm certainly willing to take that responsibility.
Okay, well, there was also a mention of possibility of mulching the skid, using the debris to cut it up and to chip it and use it as mulch on the.
That's never done. They've proven that to leave the slashings whole is more effective than covering. When you cover it with chips, you're gonna get no growth.
No, I'm not talking about covering everything, only the skid row.
Road.
Just the road.
The road will regenerate. The road is gonna be seeded when it's done. That road,
That wasn't proposed before.
No, it's gonna seed itself.
That's what he said.
We were asked at one point.
Yes, okay.
We can take care of that if we have to. I will eat that expense if I have to. That's not.
Okay, so the answer to my question is you are amenable to some modifications in the
I
plan?
will do whatever it takes within reason.
Okay.
okay.
To the board, I'd also like to point out another thing. The reason I was asking about those things before is I have 9 or 10 items that I'd like to bring up to the board that probably would warrant the applicant chiming in on modifications to their possible plan. So
Can
if
I-
we
can
do
I-
that during the public hearing or not that's my point of question.
Did you want to just list them and
You
let,
wanna-
or what did you want to do?
You know what, Nick?
We're not going to come to a decision.
Yeah, we're
tonight,
not coming
but
to a
we're
decision.
gonna
No, of
point
course
out
not.
certain things. So
Yes.
why don't you- I think
So-
that's relevant
Yeah,
then.
go ahead.
Okay. From my initial comment before, the treetop and cleanup, I think this is a point of discussion that the board needs to have, and also some research and possible some recommendations from our forester
Yep.
on what needs to happen at that point. The map, of course, needs to be fixed with the
That's on my
topographic.
list.
The contractors, aside from the foresters who are here currently, I'd like to, did we get a list of the contractors
We're gonna
that
ask
you're
for
going
that.
to be using? If,
Nobody requested it.
okay, I'd like to
We're
request
gonna
a list of those
request.
contractors along with their certifications, licenses, and any insurance information that you can provide.
Liability and workers' comp.
Sure.
Excuse me?
Got general liability and workers'
That's fine. I
That's
just want
fine.
proof that the contractors that are going to be here are actually licensed and insured. I also would like if they can provide,
There's no license.
Now, well, your compadre over there mentioned that all your logging companies take state courses. The certified
certifications.
certifications.
Certifications. Any environmental certifications that you can provide. I'd also, this is something I think I should put before the board. I personally would like to see the timber contract, and I also would like to propose that it be recorded in the public registry, considering that this is a sale of actual, real property. But
I don't know if that's in our purview. I will
ask them to
check
see the
with,
timber
I will
contract,
check with
though.
legal on that, and I will get back to Rose.
Okay, that's perfectly fine. Like I said, it's a point of discussion. After, yes? Yes. I appreciate that. Okay. I actually did talk with Mike Simone from the Highway Department as well.
Need a street bond.
Well, yeah, so you need to provide a plan of what roads you're going to be using in and out, and also, that needs to go before, this is a quick thing. If you put that together, you can send it over to the Mike Simone. He'll recommend on the spot what the bond will be, and there has to be a bond for the road. Nothing happens to the road, you get the bond back. Okay.
Does he have to supply anything about such as the weight and the size of the vehicles?
Yes, you're absolutely right.
Size of the vehicles.
I actually highly recommend following what our forester said on here, and I'm sure most of you read this as well, but making sure that we have inspections during the work period going on, and also ensuring that our inspector actually approves the start of construction, or the start of your operations, to ensure that the ground conditions are optimal, meaning in the winter. I think that should be definitely one of our conditions, especially
That's
from
if,
what?
that's if we
Approve
grant
it in
the
time.
permit.
That's true.
These are things that you're interested in.
Yes.
But based on, once we get all the information we're gonna request, then if the permit is granted, then our tree inspector will be intimately involved in this project. I spoke to him, asking his opinion on this and talking to him about his report, and, he said he was definitely gonna be involved.
Okay.
If the permit is granted.
To short-circuit that, Nick, it's very easy, and we have done it in the past, is to make his recommendations part of the permit. And that automatically makes all of those conditions that he specified a part of the permit.
Sure. There was a point in his recommendations that I had a concern over. Bless you. Our forester indicated that the landing area was approved by the town. Did we get?
We still don't have that, they still have not received any approval from the town for the landing area.
Okay, so that was a mistype by our forester, is that correct?
Yep.
Okay. Do we have?
Going along with that, you understand that the engineer, the abutters engineer has said that, as mentioned to us, brought to the fact is that it's not supposed to be within 100 feet of the road.
So I did see that too, and it says where possible. I don't know if it's possible to put that landing area because of the grading anywhere else.
Well-
But I would have concern about the traffic safety at that point. That was something that was brought up.
It's 200 feet.
We're talking about a maximum of 15 loads coming out of this property.
Total.
Probably 12 to 15. So we're not talking about 3-4 times a day when the buses are going by, the trucks are going out.
The trucks are coming from Davenport, New York, all the way up in the Catskills. They're driving quite a distance. They're gonna leave there at 6 o'clock in the morning, not get down here till 10.
Would you be willing to, if there's only going to be 15 trucks total, would you be willing to put in your plan a traffic safety notice indicating about what times, or a flagger? That, I mean, that would be great.
Can't guarantee times, but
I think a flagger would definitely be,
We do have signs that we can put up.
All right, this is the minutia and the
fair enough.
details.
That's something that I believe should be brought up.
It's just, we're here to see if there's enough information to grant a permit or deny a permit. That's it? What?
Is that it?
No. For over 25 years, 39 large trucks go down the road every day, come up the road every day. There was never an incident in 30-plus years.
And there's always,
There were 22-wheel trucks, which are larger than these trucks. So, just as a matter of record, and someone mentioned something about the weight, the trucks are designed, there's a formula for New York State. Length, tire size, distance between the tires, so that they accommodate the weight load that these roads were designed to carry.
Unfortunately, the roads in this town, some of them are incredibly old and aren't conforming. I mean, I'm sure you're quite aware.
I had the heaviest permits allowed in the state of New York. They refer to as 120 permits, down-county permits. Out of about 33 that were left, we owned 16. And they were legal on those roads.
Okay.
I have no doubt,
Is
It's
that
just a
all you
concern.
have, Nick?
The last two items I had on here were, that I had written down, silt fence on all downhill property. I mean, that's something that was discussed a couple of times. I think that's something that definitely we should bring up. Seating on the skid road, that was brought up a couple of times. That is a potential inclusion. And the last thing, and this is, I'm not quite sure what to say about this, but the winching aspect. So on the Intertown Code, it clearly states that anything above a 20% grade needs winching.
Right.
But at the same time, I don't know how disruptive that is compared to having the road in there. You know, letter of the law versus what we, versus the spirit of the law, protecting the environment as much as possible in that area. One way or the other, I think we should ask, or we should have a recommendation from at least our forester on whether or not he would consider winching to be less disruptive.
Well, you can, in one area down here,
We'll ask him
you
for
can't get
best
it, you're not gonna be able to
Sure.
get a machine.
Best
That's it.
practices within the
Okay.
situation.
I do want to also say that, you know, this is totally within your purview. You own this property, and within New York State, you're legally allowed to have a logging operation on your property. So our purview as this board is to protect the environment, and in this case with, specifically regarding tree permits, we also have a bit more jurisdiction with regards to interpreting the law when it comes to protecting the surrounding areas as well as the community. So we have a lot to consider in this case, and but I do want to clearly point out that you are well within your bounds as long as we're doing this in an environmental and to the law, an environmentally safe and sustainable manner, and as long as it's the law, you're
And it's
you're
respectful
legally-
to the neighborhood.
And it's respectful to anybody. You're absolutely right. That is.
Okay, so with that,
Well, I have the list too.
what did you guys, sit home all week and make lists? All right, how am I gonna do this?
Wait, we have a
No,
cross
no,
conversation.
no private
Hold on.
conversations.
You have a list?
Yep.
Might as well make it part of the hearing, then. I need another piece of paper.
I had many of the things that Nick said, so but I won't repeat them.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
There are two important things I'd like to point out. One is that nothing's been said about the gas line.
I'm gonna get to the gas
Okay?
line.
And I would recommend that the engineer, the Central Hudson engineer's recommendations be incorporated into our permit.
I I have it, I printed it out, and I was gonna make it part of the record tonight, and,
So I'm doing it for you.
well, I'm gonna go into the...
It's not necessary
I'm
to
gonna
read
go
it.
into the details. I got glasses.
Does the board aware that we're not logging anything by the gas?
I don't care.
I just wanted to make sure.
We just want to make sure.
Okay. What's your other item?
And also that I would consider the fact, the board should consider the fact that we've had a number of comments made by the butter and by butter's engineer. I think that those comments should be sent to our forester for comments.
I'm gonna send them this letter.
Yes, that's the idea. That's the idea.
Okay.
Can I get access to that also?
See Rose tomorrow. All right, so based on what I'm going to do now, moving forward, is I'm going to make a motion to keep the public hearing open again. We're going to leave the public hearing open, and then I'm going to address the applicant and tell them additional information that this board is going to be required to have submitted to the file for review, and then we'll go from there.
I think you want to have a motion to continue the
That's what I'm
hearing.
going to do.
Continue the hearing.
That's where I'm going. All right, so do I have a motion to keep the public hearing open to be resumed on the next ECB meeting? I think it's in 2 weeks. Do I have a motion?
Make that motion.
Second?
Second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Now, just to be fair, do you two students that are left out of the 8 that were here have any questions?
You're going to pass. The other
You're going to
ones
get
are
an A.
failed.
We'll sign
No, no,
anything.
actually, if you'll allow me, excuse me, would you two please come up for a moment? And you'll have to forgive me, folks, because besides sitting on this board, I also sit on our Board of Education. So I don't know these students, but I am very curious. I'd like you to tell us why you're here and how you came to know about this.
Please state your names, too.
Hi, I'm Bria Gunsberg. I'm a sophomore at Mapac High School. I was actually very interested in the meeting. My teacher, Mr. D'Alessandro, brought it up in class and said it's open to the public from this time to this time. And I was interested. I live on Austin Road, so pretty close to where this is happening. And I just wanted to hear about it and everyone's opinion.
You're not going to get off that easy. What are your impressions of what you heard tonight? Since I was a former college professor, I'm going to start asking some questions now.
From my opinion, I heard a lot of negative comments, and I do agree that it is the Corbelli's land. So as long as, it's legal and appropriate, I think they should be able to do what they want with it.
And you are?
I'm Martin Ventura. I just wanted to know how everything went. I've never experienced this before. It was a new experience for me, and I really liked it.
Okay, good.
Do you have any questions about the board or what we do?
No, it was more of a...
To protect the environment.
Yeah.
Basically runoff situations like that. We have
Yeah.
a buffer from wetlands and also from like Lake Mayapack or any of the lakes 100 feet. And that's what our purview is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, one more time, who's your teacher?
Mr. D'Alessandro.
Mr.
Is
D'Alessandro.
that Bob D'Alessandro?
What happened?
His first name is Bob?
Robert, yes.
Yeah, he used to be on this board.
Was he actually?
Yes.
Well, thank you for coming.
Yes,
We
think
appreciate
it's
it.
wonderful that young people like yourselves are taking an interest.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And you were the 2 survivors. Okay.
It's the TV show.
All right, Mr. Cabelli and crew. Before the next meeting, you need to do a little bit of homework. The map that you presented us in the original application needs to be redone. We need to see actual, I need a topo of the area. A topo,
USGS suffice?
Yes.
I need a topo of the area.
I understand it, but will a USGS topo
This is,
map-
what you submitted is a USGS.
Was USGS.
It's a takeoff on a USGS. What you submitted.
USGS is acceptable, am I correct?
No, that's a takeoff on a
As long as you give me a scale and you give me grades, I don't care what it is.
I have a topo that was done by an engineer in this town. Not a problem. Unfortunately, it's my last one. I'll bring you copies.
5.
5 copies.
Okay, so that addresses the map. That's the first item on the list.
need a topo map.
I need a topo map showing grades.
You should also show where the wetlands are.
And the scale is correct.
This is a
And,
very detailed map. This is the map that went to the town when we were working on it too.
Oh, okay. That should have been submitted now, okay.
what, I want a map that is correct,
Oh, this is.
okay?
I mean, he signs off on it that it's correct.
I understand. Okay. Let's start at the gas line. I'm going to submit this to file. This is an email I received from David Schneck, also known as Bob, from the last meeting. I'm going to read it to the audience, and then you please take the following notes. The email is forwarded to you as a follow-up to the public hearing held last Thursday, November 5th, in the Carmel Town Hall. The following field requirements are presented to ensure the continued integrity of Central Hudson's high-pressure 12-inch steel MP gas transmission main during the proposed future lumber harvesting activities near 150 Barrett Hill Road, Mahopac, New York. Number 1, Central Hudson's MP gas transmission main must be marked out prior to any field work via the New York State one-call process, 811. This markout should include all gas pipe located within 100 feet of any work. This is in the vicinity of the Barrett Hill Road crossing. Number 2, the markout flag should be maintained by the contractor for the duration of the field work. Number 3, all construction entrance roads and traveled paths must be a minimum of 10 feet away from the center line of the gas main. No crossing of the gas main by construction vehicles will be permitted except for the existing paved crossing on Barrett Hill Road. Number 4, a temporary fence, wood stakes, and caution tape must be installed 10 feet off of the gas pipe center line, separating the work area from the gas pipeline right-of-way. Number 5, the gas pipeline right-of-way shall not be used by the contractor or any other associated parties for vehicular or pedestrian traffic unless specifically authorized to do so by Central Hudson. Number 6, no construction work or excavation work shall be permitted within the limits of the gas pipeline right-of-way without prior review and approval by Central Hudson. And the last item, David Scheck shall be the Central Hudson contact person in regard to this project. Thank you very much. So that's the first few items you got to submit. I'm going to submit this to the file.
You could get a copy of the letter if you come in and talk to Rose.
Right, so that takes care of the gas line. We took care of the map, we took care of the gas line. That takes care of 2 items off of your list. We need hold on, let me find the page of notes. I need, what we discussed also, copies of the contractors' personnel, all their certificates, which contractor you're planning to use to do this.
You want to list their equipment as well?
That'd be great. I need catalog cuts of all water bars. I want to see catalog cuts of all the water bars.
A detail.
A detail.
A picture of
Yeah.
in the
It's,
catalog.
you take on the catalog.
The vendors, yeah.
Right, and this is where it gets more fun, is on the map that you're gonna give me, you're gonna show me where you're gonna put them. I need to know that before anything. Also on the map, you're gonna provide silt fence now along the entire length of the entire width of the property from end to end, near the wetlands, and then we're gonna come up to this property line and go across here, okay? Here to here, okay?
What did you just put?
He's gonna put silt fence here and here.
Yeah, right, okay.
Okay, you're gonna provide to me a written plan on how you are going to restore the logging road, the Hall Road. You're gonna provide how you're gonna seed it, what you're gonna put down, whatever you're gonna do. I need to know what you're doing, and I need to know what you're planning to place down there. if it's gonna be a wetland mix, or you're just gonna, I need to know. All right? There's no arguing. This is not negotiable. I got that. The timber contract, you're gonna submit for our review. You're gonna go, you need, before any permit is issued or even considered for it, you need to go see the town highway superintendent, and you have to apply for a road bond. I do not know what the cost of that bond is gonna be, but it's usually a couple $1,000s for, that you have to insure for, whatever it costs you for the bond, it is the bond. On your map, you have a landing area. And the code requires a landing area to be within 200 feet, I'll quote it. Whatever possible landing shall be located at least 200 feet from all roads. You need to give me some dimensions where you are, where you're planning to land. Because
Could you move the landing area in?
Not very much.
Well,
Because that would require us
rock
clearing more.
What's
That
the-
would require heavy clearing
What?
for that.
I'm sorry?
If we were to move it in more, that would
Can you
increase.
step up here? You gotta make sure it's recorded.
I think you would agree with this, that if we were to move it into the woods further, we're trying to minimize the amount that we have to clear out for the landing area, for the road frontage, so that it doesn't look like a bomb went off when you're driving on Barrett Hill Road. We're trying to take aesthetics into account here. So if we were to move it back further into the woodlot, that would require more clearing. If it's right there, I'll mark it out to get the dimensions. I don't know how far back it is gonna go into the woodlot, but we're trying to minimize the amount of
Listen to
clearing.
me.
If we
What's
put
your
it
name
200
again? What's your
Jordan
name?
Heller.
Jordan, listen, what you're gonna do is this. You're gonna give me a new map, right? And you're gonna basically give me the dimensions from here to here, here to here, here to here. And then here's your road.
Yep.
And you're gonna go from here to the back end of the landing area, here to the front end of the front landing area. Give me the width of the landing area, to give me some sort of bearing where I'm at.
Yeah.
Because this is just a
How
blot
large is
on
the
a
landing
piece.
area?
It also says,
Typically, how large are the landing areas?
I don't know, I've never measured one out. It's just-
Probably 25-foot long,
The
but
estimate.
probably 15
It's about
wide.
it's about the length of a log truck,
Truck.
so
30,
20,
40, 40.
Yeah.
So what-
Okay.
What if you move it in 200 feet into the lot, and you have a road from the landing area to the Barrett Hill Road?
Okay.
That just increases more
All right.
disturbance. We're trying to minimize.
I'd like to
disturbance.
bring up
Not
what's in the
the same
code.
disturbance. You're just moving the section of road.
Because this
from
is your
beyond the
whole
road
road.
In front of it.
It's rocky in here,
Wherever
there's a
possible.
grade, and the lots are
There's
gonna have
code, listen. 142-8D6 requires that wherever possible, landing shall be located at least 200 feet from the roads. Access roads to such landing areas should be curved and narrowed so as to reduce visibility from the road. This section of code has not been adhered to.
But it says whenever possible.
wherever
And it'd be, the easiest way to do it would be the way we have it laid
In other
out.
words, if you move it further away, there's more disturbance, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Why is moving it further away more disturbing?
We have to clear more area
No,
for
you
the
don't.
truck.
You clear only from Barrett Hit Road, you just clear enough for a road, the right-of-way, the road to go in. And then for 200 feet, then you create your landing area. And that also keeps it away from the aesthetics here. That's what this part of the code is talking about. It does not want a blighted area right next to the road. And that's what I'm suggesting.
So this landing area is going to be
If it's
rock,
25 foot-
rocks, isn't it?
It's what?
You're gonna be putting down rocks for the landing area, am I correct or
Yes.
no?
It's like a riprap.
So we're talking about putting a big patch of rocks 200 feet into this area. I don't know if that's something that we'd want or
Listen,
not.
I am going to leave it to the fact the code requires wherever possible. I want you to go out there, I want you to look at it, I want you to get back to me. If it's 150 feet, if it's 100 feet, if it's not on the side of Barrett Hill Road, that's a great thing. You need to look at it. That's your job,
I understand that.
okay? All right, regarding the debris after logging operations has ceased, you guys say seedlings, you need to provide me with some information if that's the way it is. That typically the cuttings are there and It is an environmentally friendly.
Ask your own forester.
I'll check with him, but if you have some articles on that, I'd appreciate if you could submit that to us too. The other thing is, road and skid trails shall be located, designed, and built on dry, well-drained spots and off steep slopes. The problem I have is the plan calls for the skid road to be constructed on, in this area, based on the drawings, a 30 to a 40% grade, or 15, anywhere from 15 to 40%. So you gotta kind of show us what, when you give me the topo, kind of ID what the grade is in this area, okay? Running water shall be diverted off roads and primary skid trails when slopes exceed 10%. You need to give me a plan on how you're gonna divert that away from the skid trails while you're working. Because the forester that we have, Doug Ramey, has stated in his letter that he's only gonna allow you to work during the dry season or whenever it's conducive to logging operations, and he will enforce that. So, that's that. The other issue I have is the area down here by the wetlands. This area really disturbed me, was this area here. There's a heavy concentration of trees that you're taking. That has a slope of greater than 30%. So that's gotta be, you gotta come up with a plan on how you're getting them out. And provide it in writing to the town, what we have to do. Because it says it has to be winched off if we go by the code. All right, let's see. The other question I had is, and this is just something for you guys to keep food for thought, is, again, the area down by the wetlands, particularly lot 53-18-1-28, where we're gonna put the silt fence by the wetlands. There is a heavy concentration of trees down in that area that that Vince and I saw, that area is in a very steep area, in which it goes back to the winching operations. You may wanna consider maybe reducing the number of trees you're taking. Just as some thought, because I'd like, actually, just so we can all get an idea, because we went out there, and I'm not asking you to post every tree, but I kind of want to see the clusters, you know, where you're going to be taking them away, and you can throw that on the map, and that could just be a bubbled area, just, because like down by the wetlands area, you have a lot, we were looking at what, we were looking at a lot of trees down there, right? We kind of have to have the plan. So, I'm just, I have to make the, I would like, if you have a cluster.
What do you want?
Yeah, if you have a cluster of trees here, I want to see the cluster. You have a cluster over here, you have a cluster here, and then you have sporadic. I just want to see where the clusters are, where the heavy cutting is going to be. Because they deserve to see where that would be also. Okay?
You can locate them, you have a portable GPS you can take out there and locate them?
Yeah. I can just, I'm pretty savvy with GIS systems and whatnot.
Okay.
So do you want me to just walk around the cluster so you can see a polygon on the
That
map?
would be perfect.
Okay.
Well, if you can identify the individual trees you plan on cutting.
That might be-
If you have a GPS, you should be able to do that, unless that's a problem.
That's,
280 trees.
yeah, it's 280 trees. I'll take clusters.
I mean,
No, we're only talking about down by the wetlands and the Granger's
Oh,
property.
Yeah,
That's all we're talking about. That's all I'm talking about.
okay. I was just looking at where the large clusters are, particularly down by the wetlands and up behind their home.
There are a lot of sporadic trees here and there.
Up past the rock wall,
Yeah.
there was sporadic. Anything from the rock wall down towards the wetland, it was quite it almost appeared to be,
Well,
cut.
however you feel it.
The
use
pics,
your judgment.
paint a story for us. Listen. What? All right, other than that, I don't know if I think I got everything. I kind of lost track. You're gonna give us a contract list, insurance, inspections,
Liability insurance as well,
no, I don't need to see that, that's just the road. Silt fence, seed skid road, winching
Traffic
aspect.
safety.
Traffic safety plan. Oh, did you submit a refueling plan?
Yeah, that was sent when you requested that 3 meetings ago.
Listen, I don't remember what I have for dinner tonight.
So we'll need a traffic safety, but also like the traffic pattern plan, and what roads you're gonna take.
Here's some stuff.
And the
Yeah,
truck,
the
the
route.
routing and the
That's
trucks.
for the highway superintendent.
Right, we need to have that go to the highway superintendent so he can approve it and
Anything else there?
present you with an escrow.
For the safety plan, we're gonna have flaggers, we're gonna have signage.
Yeah, that's fine. Flaggers for every truck that's coming.
Not closing them, we'll
Basically.
suspend.
That would be sufficient.
Okay,
We'll do the minutes and then.
then we're done. Okay, other than that, I think
I also want to encourage you to make sure you read our forester's report.
Yeah.
And take his considerations and potentially use those considerations in whatever additional planning you do that you present for us.
just for the record, he's submitted there's a fuel plan. He gave a little thing about the landing area is 12 by 60.
Oh, that's good to know.
12 by 60. But it doesn't tell me how far it is off the
It doesn't
road.
time ago.
So does that,
Oh, I'm sorry, 40 by 80.
That sounds more right.
That's it, 40 by 80. Okay.
does the landing area actually need to be approved by anyone in the town? I mean, I know our forester had mentioned that, but I didn't see anything that said that we had to have.
I think he said he had.
Before they start anything, he's gonna
He
have
has
to go
to
out
look
there
at
and
it.
look at
Okay.
everything.
Have you got a copy of Doug Ramey's report?
Not yet.
I have it on my phone.
Oh, you do?
I've been reading it throughout the meeting.
Good, all right.
Yeah, that's, okay.
I mean,
They
to
already,
me-
you have the copy of it.
Yeah, yeah.
And as Nick said, try to
Listen,
incorporate as
I'm
much as you can into your plan.
I understand your frustration at this moment in time, okay? But the same obligation we have as a board to grant you a permit, I have that same obligation to the people that live around that area, okay? So, you know, it's a little more work you gotta do, but, you know, it's the facts. Any decision that's made is gonna be based upon the facts that are presented to us. And due to the fact that we had a public hearing, and this public hearing has brought out some concerns from the public, we as a board have to address those concerns.
And my issue is that I would like to provide as much information as I can the first time, and I wasn't expecting this. That's all.
Well, if you check the last meeting, or 2 meetings ago, when we looked at this topo map, we had asked for another map.
I've been on recovering from surgery, so I've been out of this
Okay.
situation.
Well,
I'm glad you're all right.
Thank you.
trust me, it'll be another 2 weeks and we'll,
Yeah.
There's another factor as well. The reason we have a public hearing is to draw out things that potentially could have been missed either by yourselves, by the board, by anyone who's looking at this. So there was going to be additional things that are brought to light.
absolutely.
This is it.
Sure.
Should I read that? Okay, just for the public record then.
You're reading it into it.
'cause
No,
What?
You're not reading this into the record.
Do you want, no,
No,
it's
no,
part of
it's
the
not
file
necessary.
already.
It's in the file.
All right. So with that, I'm going to make a motion to suspend the public hearing until the next meeting.
We already voted to continue it.
Yeah, I know, but I have to suspend it so that I can go through and approve the minutes, right? Or just go into the next board?
We already voted to
Okay.
continue it.
All right, so then with that, I'm going to proceed. So the public hearing is going to remain open. Get us that information as fast as you can between now and the next meeting. If I don't have it all by the next meeting, then the public hearing is going to extend to the following meeting. So it's either 2 weeks or a month. It all depends on you.
2 weeks from today? I can tell
2
you.
weeks from today. All right, so the public hearing's open. Thank you all for coming and expressing your concerns.
That's the third.
I have some confusion we're gonna be notified. Because we got the first letter for the first meeting, we didn't get a letter about this, and
The
Rose
public-
said that's because we already got a letter from the first meeting. So we
With,
didn't get a
with
second
the,
letter.
well, what we did the last meeting was when we discovered that there were 27 homes that did not get the letter. We had notified, we had noticed it in the paper, we had sent it to the first wave of residents in that area, and we found out we made a mistake with the 27 other homes. That's why we left the meeting open, and we notified the other 27 people. Because the meeting is left open right now, I'll see you here in 2 weeks.
So that's it, I should assume no other letter.
No,
there won't be any
you've
more.
been noticed, the
Only one
meeting's
notice.
still left, the hearing's still open. It's just, yeah, it's just, that's the way it is.
We're doing this again, much like the student back there, I've never done this before. So we will be here doing this again 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, well, kind
All
of.
right.
But you have to do something in the interim period, though.
Right, yes.
Is there a requirement to submit it some amount of time before the meeting to give, if they bring it to the meeting, it's kind of hard to.
Well, if it brings it to the meeting, what we'll do is this. If it's brought on the day of the meeting, we'll submit it, we'll review it. We'll leave the meeting open to give the public some time, public comment to review the stuff. Once I have no more comments, then the meeting will be closed, and then a motion will be made to either grant or deny a permit.
The public comment will be closed
The public, that's what
at the meeting.
the public meeting will be closed, and then we have 45 days from the closing of that meeting to grant or deny a permit. Again, folks, I am trying to be fair to all parties involved, and I think this is in the best interest of everybody, and that's the best I can give you, okay? All right, so with that, my board friends, we have to do the meeting minutes. So do I have a motion to accept the meeting minutes of
Who can vote on it?
7:23? The ones that cannot vote are Dusovic, Fannin, and Pikowski. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Aye. All in
All in
favor?
favor?
Aye.
All right,
Abstain.
7:23 is approved. 8:06, Dusovic only. Do I have a motion to accept the meetings minutes for 8:06?
Moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Do I have a motion to accept the minutes for August 20th? Fannin and Tarano cannot vote. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right,
Abstain.
Rose, all the meeting minutes are approved. Thank you.
You have to close the meeting.
Oh, can I, what?
You have to close the meeting.
Yeah. Do I have a motion to close the meeting?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We're done.